despicable. Maybe there's a way to break into this house. I had almost... Forgotten I applied for a position at Pembroke. It was so long ago.
It's locked.
A Red River, a song in the... Jonathan?
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight. I love it when the cards tell me a truth.
The cards told you to expect me.
Yes, they tell me everything. They told me that you struggle hard not to take too many lives.
What can you tell me about the neighborhood?
I really don't know. I don't often go outside. And when I do, it's usually to quite distant destinations.
So you see nothing in the stars for me? You're a poor fortune teller, then?
Oh, I can tell you many things, but they will only concern you, not the city. For example, I know that you offered your sister the final rest she asked for.
Do the cards speak of my Mary?
No. It's the burning aura of guilt that precedes you everywhere you go.
Read my fortune, then.
You have been chosen, Jonathan. I see on you the mark of a strong being, so powerful it needn't even reveal its strength.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Here is the money.
The alchemist. A wise and cunning mind who lives by lying to all but himself. He sells false promises and is proud of it.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The Guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and they even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything from you?
A personal notebook they quickly took to their headquarters. All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course. I do ask one thing, though. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time, sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
Can you read the...
Put the money on the table.
Here.
The mother, a suffering soul, ashamed of her silence, terrified to raise her voice, a son to be killed.
Can you read the...
Put the money...
Perhaps... Goodbye, sir.
I read Red River, a song in the dark, whispers of a sun.
Do you recall... You'll... Goodbye, sir.
I read Red River, a song in the dark, the whispers of a sun.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood.
He's mine!
I cannot enter.
Stupid beast! You leeches, you
We have to stop it!
Pay for this! We'll take its head! Want some of this? You leeches!
Hello.
Jonathan, back already. Good.
Do you need...
Oh,
I think you should take...
I'm not sure I'll ever feel...
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye. Jonathan, my dear, bring me my glasses. I feel like reading.
Yeah.
Good...
Good.
Do you need...
You...
Don't... I may...
Connect me.
Good evening. Good... Do you need...
Yep.
Goodbye, Mr.
Is there anything to connect me to this?
Good evening, old chap.
I won't lie.
These are the documents you wanted me to look for. I think I've gathered all the available occult research about vampires.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. Huh, that'll help me separate the myths from the facts.
I'm not sure you can consider this material factual, but it's yours now. What do you intend to do with it?
First, I'm going to show them to Venus. It'll open her eyes and make her understand the importance of my mission.
You need some
Rats.
Can I help? I will... I'm...
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
She sometimes sneaks out alone and can't find her way home.
Always a pleasure to see you, sir.
Elizabeth, what are you doing here?
I've been formally asked to witness your triumph, my dear. After all, isn't it the natural role of a woman to support her man in victory?
But it's you who insisted I join the Ascalon.
Please forgive my giddiness. I'm just overcome by the thrill of finally being allowed within these hallowed halls.
You certainly have an inquisitive mind. It's quite something. Elizabeth Ashbury, only you can make me smile in these difficult times.
And the same to you, Jonathan Reed. Now go have your little chat with the chairman. I can see he's practically bursting to hear your report.
I have a boat ready to go whenever I want. These hunters won't catch me.
we're facing a crisis.
But I'm shocked no one took the time to clean up the mess inside the club.
Perhaps we should change some of the club's rules if we survive. We need to soften some of our laws concerning
Welcome
redheads.
back to the Ascalon Club, Lance-Bearer. Please, tell us the good news. Have you put an end to the epidemic?
My hypothesis was correct. Doris Fletcher was the source of the contagion in this part of town. She was probably the first to be infected.
And you cleansed her before the hunters, I've been told. Well done, Dr. Reed. You thrust your lance and pierced the very heart of the corruption.
But some questions remain.
The important thing is, we won a major battle for the survival of London. For that, we salute you.
Thank you, my lord.
Now, I have another task for you. One of the utmost importance. Perhaps even more so than the previous.
I'm listening.
It's time for you to perform a most sacred duty for the club. I want you to recruit a new vampire.
Recruit a new vampire? Are you sending me on some sort of diplomatic mission?
Not exactly. I want you to make Aloysius Dawson the Ekon he deserves to be.
I'm not sure I'm the best candidate for such a task.
I can hear the hesitation in your voice, Dr. Reed. I admire a man of principles. But in this matter, there is more at stake than your moral comfort.
It's not a moral question, Lord Redgrave. It's the responsibility of giving immortality to a man I barely know.
Nonsense. Aloysius has been a member of the Ascalon for years. This is but the fruition of a long-held plan.
How would you like me to proceed?
Aloysius is waiting for you at the Dawson estate. Once the deed is done, I'll join you there to celebrate this momentous occasion.
Before I go, I have a few questions.
All right, I'm listening.
Why Aloysius Dawson?
Because he is about to die. And he just may be the most influential man in England. After me, of course.
Did he choose me?
No, I did. My decision is very recent, to say the least, but it is entirely mine.
Does he know I'm coming?
He can't wait to become your progeny, Dr. Reed. Especially now that you have shown how strong your lineage is through your sister.
How would you like me to proceed?
Don't worry. Aloysius has had many years to prepare himself. He has studied our kind for decades.
Is there any danger?
Our blood alters a mortal body so deeply that some don't survive the metamorphosis. They die for good. But Mr. Dawson has been preparing himself for a long time.
So shall I just let him drink my blood?
Yes. Aloysius will gratefully sup on your blood. His heart will slow, then stop. But he will rise again as one of us, an immortal.
You invited Lady Ashbury. Wouldn't that be breaking one of your cardinal rules? No women allowed.
Not allowed as members, no. But considering the circumstances, I thought you'd like to have her here to witness your triumph.
So it's a temporary admittance, then?
Something of a bargain, considering the crisis we're currently facing.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave. Goodbye.
Are you all right, Jonathan?
Lord Redgrave has just ordered me to turn Aloysius Dawson, to make him my progeny.
I see. And how do you feel about this?
I'd like your advice on the matter.
The real question here is, why has his lordship given you this task?
Do you think it's some sort of trap?
Do you really want to know what I think about this?
I do, yes.
To make an immortal of a soulless blackguard like Aloysius Dawson will only lead to a disaster for London. The man is already dead inside.
Should I refuse? Perhaps politely suggest that Lord Redgrave turn the man into a vampire himself.
Don't you dare, my dear. According to what I've recently discovered, his lordship could kill you for even broaching the subject.
Really? Why?
I've recently found proof that the Earl of Bristol is of lesser lineage and only capable of creating skulls.
Please tell me more about your recent investigation.
As long as you lower your voice.
What would you have me do about Dawson?
The man is dangerous. Did you know he plans to build a wall to separate the healthy rich from the sickly poor? Do not make him your progeny.
What would you do?
The man's dying already. Let the Reaper harvest the rotten fruit that is his soul.
What would happen if I made Dawson an Ekon like myself?
You would add a powerful immortal into a suffering world. An immortal who already craves authority.
Maybe I could teach him control, like you taught me. Lead him down the right path.
Mr. Dawson spent his life searching for a way to cheat death. I'm sure he has spent decades dreaming of how he'd spend eternity as a tyrant.
Are you sure your information about Redgrave is correct? He says he's the progeny of the great knight William Marshall, who lived some 9 centuries ago.
That's a lie. Lord Redgrave is unable to create anything but skulls, if the poor souls survive at all.
How can you be sure the information was correct?
I made the acquaintance of a most interesting informer while investigating your maker, from whom I learned the truth about Lord Redgrave.
Why so vindictive? You suddenly sound like you're angry.
Forgive me, Jonathan. I hate myself for it, but I feel such pride in my discovery. I'm afraid I just can't help it.
Which is?
He did serve William Marshall. And yes, the blood he covets as a token does truly belong to that legendary knight. But he was never his progeny. His lineage is not so noble.
Goodbye for now, Elizabeth.
Goodbye, my dear. Please, be careful.
It looks like vampires have to obey Mendel's laws when producing progeny. Powers pass from one generation to another.
Only the fast.
That's why Dawson wants me to sire him.
Women die too in this war.
be someone you know. Even someone you're close to.
Good evening.
Bullets kill people quicker than diseases.
Do you have...
I heard he kept on helping people, but I tried to stay away from his shelter. I don't feel safe there.
Are you worried?
Not really.
What can...
Most people would say that Sean Hampton and Tom Watts are good men who try to sort things out. But for me, the real boss around there was my best friend, Jack Gillingham.
Jack Gillingham, you say?
Everyone round there knew Jack. He was a rock. A mountain, even. He feared nothing.
What can you tell me?
The East End docks only knows one rule. Dog eat.
Your friend Jack has something to do with you fleeing to the contaminated area where I found you. I want to know more.
Jack is dead. That's all you need to know. Dead because of me. So much violence. So much sorrow. All of that because I refuse to be insulted again.
No man can predict the exact outcome of his actions. It's the curse we have to live with. We can only gamble and do what we think is best.
Perhaps you're right. The district was doomed before I was born. But I cannot stop myself thinking that Jack died for me.
Why do you say that?
After I killed that gang member, the Wet Boot Boy suspected Jack. And being loyal and all, he did not refute the accusation.
You are not going to spend the rest of your life hiding, Rodney. What are you planning to do?
Honestly, I have no idea. How am I supposed to live while so many have suffered because of me?
Only you can answer that question. But one thing is certain. Since you owe Jack your life, I think it's fair to live it in a way that would make him proud.
That's the kind of thing Jack could have said, Dr. Reed. Thank you for that. I believe you're a good guy too.
The death of your friend has affected you deeply, hasn't it?
Jack Gillingham was the real deal. He believed we could change the world if we were united and focused enough. And he brought out the best in each of us.
You're right. He died to save you. That alone gives me an idea of the kind of man he was.
He was the bravest. And no one dares to say openly that he got killed by those bastards.
Your friend's plan was audacious, if not reckless.
How dare you say that?
Goodbye. This is despicable.
Best be moving on.
Do with the wet boots, I say.
Good evening.
Hello.
Tell me your feelings about Booth's belief in monsters, Edwin.
It makes him look weak in front of the boys, that's my feeling about it. But ghosts don't scare me.
You don't believe he really saw something, then?
I don't care what he saw or not. All I know is that a real man keeps his fears to himself if he wants to be obeyed.
Can I...
As long as you have... The wet boots keeping things straight.
Can I see...
As long as you... Hello again.
Can I see?
As long as you have... Without the wet boots keeping things straight, these parts will be running completely.
That leech is false!
Without the wet boots keeping things straight, these parts will be running completely amok.
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Can I see?
As long as you have...
Good evening. I'm Doctor.
And I...
Do you have
The map?
Are you...
I never...
What can...
People used to...
Missing the good old day.
Trust me, son. The longer you live, the less...
And
back in my day, people trusted the wet boot boys. We looked out for the docks and its families. Nowadays, they're just a bunch of greedy fuckers.
You were a gang member.
I was their leader for a time, believe it or not. Now these bastards act like I'm nothing. Not one of them. They owe me some damn respect.
If you were
You bet I do, but make no mistake. I'm no rat.
Do you still know anyone?
Most of them are dead. I still give Miss Gillingham salutations. She doesn't remember me. She did once like me. Boy, she was a beauty back then.
Who would you trust around?
The owner of the Turquoise Turtle's a decent fella. Tom's his...
Any remarkable...
Nobody. Well, there's that boy Rufus the Curse. I like him, despite the reputation he's made since his parents died. Poor little bastard.
I'm sure a district as colourful...
So, you want me to talk about...
If you don't mind.
The sewer dog is a bitch. Appropriately named. An old woman dressed in rags. She has an elegance, though. Despite her ugliness. I saw her once. Scared the life out of me.
Have you always been so bitter?
It's not bitterness, it's poorly masked
As a practitioner, I believe science will...
I'd like to believe you, Doctor. But recently all science has been good for is mustard gas and machine guns.
But what about social progress? What about women getting the right to vote? Things can change for the better.
I've never voted, not once. And my wife, God rest her soul, she was too busy taking care of the kids to vote.
Tell me everything you know.
Andrew never told me what they do. I do know they're vigilantes with military training. Access to some impressive firepower.
And what is your personal opinion about the Guard, then?
This Guard of Prewen is just another gang preying on the young and naive. Preying on people like my boy. I know how it works. I invented it.
Tell me about...
We were there for the families and each other. It was us against the world. We were vicious, tough, even cruel. But we were united.
You sound like you were some kind of radical union member.
Yes, nowadays the communists and gangs squabble over pointless territory. Sounds stupid when you say it out loud.
Why did your son really join the Guard of Prewen?
If I believed in a higher power, I'd see this as punishment for my own sins. I deserve it for all the young men I enlisted back in the day.
You don't believe in God, though, do you, Mr. Woodbead? So why did he join?
Now I think about it, Andrew joined the Guard, not to defy me, but to follow in my footsteps, to make me proud.
So your son has left you nothing to explain his act?
Not even a note. I'm a proud man, Dr. Reed. But I would kneel and pray if I thought it would give me my Andrew back.
Do you need my...
Unfortunate.
Oh. Good. Good evening. Good. Do you need... No. Good. Good evening.
Hello.
Can I Can I see?
As long as...
Good evening.
Hello. As long as...
Drink's just as likely to cause a problem as the soul.
Good evening.
I'm not sure the... What can I...
Mrs.
I am...
Then... Good...
I can't remember.
Good evening.
Are you sure?
Do you need...
Death?
Well, you would... Good... Hello.
Hello, John. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
It's a pleasure.
So you
How is the...
probably...
Do you need my...
It would...
And I'm...
Thank you.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
The important question is, what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
What do you think about Clarence squandering?
Soon we'll be poor, and forced to sell the house. Where will we go? In which filthy, infected part of town will we end up? I'm so afraid.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you
You mean except for your return to town?
Why is my
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Thank you.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know.
There's no need to apologize.
No, it's...
Venus.
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Did Clarence recently show you documents that prove the existence of vampires?
Yes, he did. And he also told me you spent a few nights gathering research for him. Seriously, Jonathan. Why feed his obsession like that?
He's my friend. I thought it might help him rest, instead of going outside at night. Tell me, what are your thoughts about vampires?
Gibberish and poppycock. Dracula was a good book, but these documents were just mumbo-jumbo. I burnt them all as soon as Clarence went outside again.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
I never met the man. I know Clarence tried to contact him recently, but I don't know why. I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son.
Good evening.
And
Do you need... What do you know?
that man is a tyrant. The embodiment of greed and selfishness. All I despise about this country.
Goodbye.
She's...
These leaflets were telling the truth.
Good evening, Miss...
Dr. Reed. Oh, thank God you...
Please, don't...
Good. I found him.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Never heard of him.
Really? He's very well known in London.
He a big shot or something? Never interested in politics myself. All words and no action.
Do you need... I have...
All right.
What do you do for...
Before my kidnapping, I was a waitress in a pub.
Were you fired?
No. It's just that after my recent experience, I don't feel like I can go back to my normal life. I need to do something useful.
What do you intend to do?
Dad always told me, Louise, if you want something, don't stop until you have it. I did my research and I found it. Ichabod Throgmorton, professional vampire hunter. I'll be his apprentice.
Be very careful, Miss Teasdale. You are lucky to escape death once, but vampires lurk everywhere.
You killed my kidnapper by yourself, didn't you? No offense, Doctor, but you're just a doctor. I don't see why I couldn't do the same.
What can you tell me about this?
I've never really liked this part of town. It was where...
What exactly don't you like about it?
People here are contemptuous and elitist. My dad always said, Louise, always treat people like you want them to treat you.
Why did your father feel guilty? He seemed so eager to welcome you back, as though he'd done something wrong.
Last time we saw each other, we had a terrible argument. I left the house and ended up in a pub. That's where the vampire met me. Dead drunk.
I see.
We argued a lot, me and Dad. But he always came home. I'm sure that's why he went to find me. He knew something bad had happened.
Your father never gave up on you. In the end, he risked everything to save the daughter he loved.
Yeah, that was my dad. Tough bastard, just like me. Even if I'd broken his leg, he would have gone looking for me.
What do you mean?
That last argument we had, it was more of a fight, actually. He slapped me and I kicked him hard in the balls.
Louise, what can you tell me about the vampire who captured you?
The little fucker claimed he'd fallen in love with me. That he wanted to spend eternity with me. Not a bad idea. At least that's the way it seemed at first.
Really? Did you consider accepting his proposal?
Well, immortality. Not a common wedding gift, is it? I think he just wanted to have his way with me. Can vampires even fuck, Doctor?
What? Well, I really can't answer that. Well, since they are creatures of blood, physically speaking, I suppose an erection is possible, but
Don't be embarrassed, Dr. Reed. I was just asking.
You seem to cherish your father a great deal.
Dad was the best. He kept an eye on me, but let me make my own mistakes. Louise used to say, mistakes are the best teacher. You would have liked him.
I'm sorry you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye.
That's all right. He's buried in consecrated ground now. Nothing bad can happen to him.
Louise, tell me what you really think about your father's sacrifice to save you.
I'm proud he went after me. I forgive him all his harsh words, all his bloody attitudes. I only wish I could tell him how much I loved him.
Yes. It can be traumatic, not having the chance to say goodbye to those we love.
Yes, Doctor. And there's no treatment for that type of pain, isn't that right? That may be the last thing my father taught me.
Goodbye.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
The truth all along.
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
good friend Mr. Crossley returned from the war too. Yet?
Do you need... Yes? What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Not much, sir. Mr. Dawson's house used to be a good house, with many servants. I heard he fired them all recently.
Goodbye.
Of course.
John?
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye.
See them die? Steady, boys! We've got one over here! Snap it, Lich! All of you bloody leeches need killing! We have to stop I'll send you to hell. I'll put an end
Good evening. What can you...
I've heard this is a man who has searched for his place in the world for a long time. I hope he found it.
Do you need... I don't...
Says...
Good... What can you tell me?
You should ask that question to my brother instead. Personally,
Doc?
What are you...
Well, my two missing persons cases have been solved.
I was lucky enough to find them both while conducting...
Why do I still have the feeling that you're...
I don't think so. You had better interview Miss Teasdale. Do you know...
Who doesn't know the man? I think he intervened personally to put an end to the police strike of last August.
What else can you tell me about him?
Aloysius Dawson is exactly the kind of powerful and influential man who could commit murder and get away with it. With just one phone call.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good evening. Do you know...
Everybody knows him. He's only been to my shop once, though.
Did he buy something?
No, he left...
But isn't Aloysius Dawson...
That was before his brother Rob...
Goodbye.
Dr. Reed, I am glad to see you.
Good evening. Have you ever met?
Yes, very.
What do you mean? Goodbye.
Do you know? He used to be a big spender. One day, he sent 3 houseboys to buy all the beluga in my shop. For his brother's birthday, if I remember correctly.
I see. Anything else? Less gastronomic, perhaps?
I really can't say. The man is filthy rich. But you know that, of course.
Goodbye. Good evening.
Well,
what can you...
I've discovered he's quite versed in occult knowledge. So I wrote him a letter asking him to finance my research about vampires. He never responded.
You need... Good evening.
Good evening.
Do you know it?
I've never met the man personally, but I invested money in some of his companies when I came to London. A brilliant businessman.
Goodbye.
Maybe I should leave the city.
I need to find information.
Don't trust him. He's looking for the same thing I was. Rats? No, not rats. Something else. I don't remember.
I'm... Good... You need... Good evening.
Can I have...
Good...
It's always been your house, Dad. Not mine. What should I eat?
If you wish to stay tonight... Yeah?
Good...
Seriously?
Good evening.
Is there anything you could tell?
Aloysius Dawson. Yes, of course. We met on several occasions. With time, he got deeper and deeper into the occult.
He's not the only one. It's been quite the fashion for several decades. The Golden Dawn, for instance, is just one example.
True. Aloysius was a member of the Golden Dawn until 1900. Then his thirst for dark knowledge grew. I'm talking forbidden texts, readings which blackened his heart.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
The vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
All right. Let me hear it.
The walls of your prison have already been raised, Jonathan. But you will freely accept to be locked inside, full of hope for a better day.
I would rather not. How did you learn about Mary? And spare me the hocus-pocus parlor tricks. The truth, now!
Swansea told me. Don't look at me like that. His task is to observe and gather information about vampires. He had to tell me about Mary.
Mary did not deserve her fate. She had already suffered enough during her life. And yet the pain and the suffering went on after her death.
Suffering is part of the immortal condition. Some prefer to lose their minds rather than face the simple truth. Pain will never stop.
May I ask?
Of course. But I must warn you that there are some
I know there is no love lost between the Guard of Priwen and the Brotherhood. What caused this rift?
It was 1801. The Brotherhood was stronger then, a strength that made them hungry for ever greater power. An argument divided them, and the wound never healed.
What was the nature of the disagreement?
The problem was that both sides considered themselves the legitimate heirs of the original Brotherhood. We divide up the books, the relics, not always fairly or with consideration.
Who founded the Brotherhood?
That's precisely the kind of question I cannot answer. It is delicate, and may reveal some of our secret traditions.
So you're not just a club of academics and scholars?
Once upon a time, very long ago, the Brotherhood did more than simply study the vampires. They took actions to eliminate the more ferocious and corrupted.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
The vampire's fate is...
All right.
The walls of your prison have already been raised, Jonathan. But you will freely accept to be locked inside, full of hope for a better day.
Goodbye.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. The Fool and the Empress. Again, what are the cards trying to tell us?
Away with you!
Remember your vow!
We have to stop it! here will give you faith again. It's no match for the Swanborough cordial.
Good evening. And good evening. How is this? I imagine we are all part of some nightmare. Do you need it? I understand nutrition. I'll leave you alone.
You...
Can I... There is... Goodbye.
Thank
you. Do you need... I don't... Goodbye. Good evening. Don't you... No.
Your prey is mine now! This is now my domain, your record! The bloody crime! This is my territory!
I've heard so many bad things recently.
Good evening, Mr. Swanborough.
Is it you, Doctor? Tell me, how do you see the world these days? What can I...
So did... Oh no, but you are still... I saw the... I'm sorry the effect... You don't get it. Mason, why would you waste your skill and knowledge on crafting snake oil and fake drugs?
But this is my only opportunity to continue practicing my art.
By giving false hope to desperate people?
They all see me as disabled and useless. I'm sick of their pity.
You are nothing but a vengeful, bitter man who takes delight in selling false hope to terrified people.
Believe what you want, Dr. Reed. I don't care. I play with the cards fate dealt me, that's all.
Good.
Tell me, how do you see the world these days?
You Londoners are no match for me! you!
It's alive. It's alive. And it needs a name. I shall call you Lisa.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Yeah. All...
It's locked. Southwark. My departure for France as a promising student. My return as a brilliant surgeon, about to be killed. Transformed.
As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening. Do you... I have...
boys! We've got one of them here! The beast must die! Stop! Oh my god!
Do you need... Good.
Am I stupid or something? I've never even been to India.
Do you require...
Don't.
Good. It's locked, all right.
Is there anyone here?
Good evening. Good.
I know I've got...
Young man. Goodbye.
Glad.
Are you
There are rooms.
As long as you stay away from the streets, you...
I hope you're right, Doctor.
Do you need...
I...
Goodbye, Miss... Good evening. Young man. Goodbye. Good evening.
Dr. Reed.
Do you need...
So much noise. A vampire kills in utter silence.
It's a leech! Kill it! Watch it! It's a killer! Die, vermin! I hear leeches. Want some of this? Bloody leech! Watch it! It's a killer! Your prey is mine now! Fancy clothes! It's like the top! Remember your boy! Lord, fear no evil! Fuck, it's fast!
I will return at a more convenient time. It's locked.
London has brought so much pain to me. Is there anything to connect me to this city anymore? London has brought so much pain.
Women die too in this war.
I said stay away! Boys! Find his teeth! Get taken! Die, vermin! Send you to hell!
too in this war. Support the equality.
Not to the city anymore.
to vote is only the first step. Support the equality between men and women.
It's the difference between telling the truth and a lie. Nobody takes him seriously.
I cannot enter. Dawson's mansion. Here I am at last. But the question remains, am I ready to make a dying man my progeny? Reduced in rank for falsely accusing a man of murder. I wonder what Inspector Albright thinks about his punishment. It's locked, all right.
Finally, you're here, Dr. Reed. What took you so long?
I had to pass several of your barricades and outposts to access your mansion, sir.
Death, pestilence surround us, and time is against me.
I see you've gathered some of the most expensive, albeit experimental, blood transfusion equipment available. All this could be so useful in a hospital.
Yes, yes. Since Lord Redgrave sent me a doctor to perform my conversion, I thought you might find some of these devices useful.
Most thoughtful. But tonight I'm not here as a physician.
But I feel reassured that a specialist such as yourself would help me to escape the Reaper.
Very well. But before I proceed, I have a few questions for you.
If you must, but be quick, for I don't have much time left in this life.
First of all, I need to be sure that you know exactly what is going to happen to you, sir.
I can assure you I'm as informed as any man can be. I have planned for this moment, Dr. Reed. Planned very carefully.
Sir, I'm going to end your life. Do you not wish to discuss the procedure for even a minute?
I don't have a minute to indulge in idle chatter. I can't feel my legs, and the cold, so cold.
I will become your maker. Do you understand what that means?
Well, I certainly won't consider you my liege, or some such drivel. You can be assured of that.
You'll need to feed on warm blood. Blood from mortals. How do you feel about that?
I'm rich, Dr. Reed, and powerful. I'm sure I'll be able to acquire all the blood I need without ever having to sully my own hands.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
What I do know is that I'll crush anyone or anything that would dare to oppose me.
Let's move on, then.
Please, I'm cold and tired. I feel my life waning with every moment.
But first, before you embrace immortality, what would you do with such a gift?
That's a rather impertinent question, Dr. Reed, and I will do as I please.
Answer me all the same. What will your first action be as an immortal?
To save London. I will finance the most efficient quarantine ever seen, I will build a wall that will separate the sick boroughs from the healthy ones.
Who gave you the right to decide the fate of thousands of people?
My money. My money and my pending immortality gives me the needed authority, Doctor. I'm a businessman. I'm used to tough decisions.
You really plan to build a quarantine wall across London?
Yes, it will be tall and strong, separating the wheat from the chaff.
By doing so, you will also create 2 separate prisons.
Come, sir. An eminent doctor like yourself knows that such radical measures have proved efficient in the past.
Let me guess. You mean to isolate the rich from the poor?
This is a desperate measure for desperate times. England must prevail, Doctor, no matter the cost.
Quarantine is not a bad idea, medically speaking. But I'm convinced this epidemic will not be contained by mere walls.
As long as the right people are on the right side of the wall, that's all that matters.
But you can't guarantee infection will not spread. Just one contagious carrier would be enough to create an apocalypse.
The apocalypse is already knocking at the gate. We must be strong now.
What if a new outbreak happens inside your walls? You'll have created a giant trap.
That won't happen, as long as we dispose of anyone that is contaminated as soon as they are spotted.
I've heard enough. It's time to proceed.
At last. All right, do what you have to do. If it hurts, so be it. I've been preparing such a long time for this.
You don't deserve immortality, Mr. Dawson.
What? What are you prattling on about?
I don't believe I've ever met a man so bereft of empathy. You, sir, are despicable.
No! Wait! You can't! I made a deal with Lord Redgrave. I'll finance whatever he wants. Please, just ask him.
Sleep now. Rest now. Forever.
I would have lived forever. Who are you to decide my fate? Who gave you the authority?
Is it done, Dr. Reed? Is Aloysius Dawson reborn, as expected?
Alas, Aloysius Dawson was not brought back to life after his death. The man is gone.
What? What happened?
He didn't survive the procedure. He was too weak.
This is unacceptable, nevertheless. You were given the simplest task.
Well, get rid of me then.
From now on, you're an outcast. Banished. You are forbidden to ever appear in front of us again. Ascalon will smite you on sight, and your heart will be thrown to the rats.
I'll leave you then. Have fun with your puppets and shadow plays, Lord Redgrave.
Yes, go, traitor, and take that awful creature, that counterfeit of a woman I saw waiting for you, and be gone!
Step away, traitor. Return to your dubious friends and your decrepit hospital.
We meet again at the strangest of times, young Ekon. So do you serve the Earl of Bristol now?
Old Bridget. What are you doing here?
Your friend, the wise Ekon. She sent me to warn you.
Did anyone see you? It's a long way from the dock sewers, and hunters are patrolling the streets here.
Who said I took the streets? How do you think I survived for centuries in this city without ever being seen? I know all her secrets.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
She came to us in the sewers in search of answers. Just as you did.
What kind of answers did you give her?
I knew nothing of your maker, but we talked. We talked a lot. Her words and ideas are captivating. It is no surprise that you like her. I like her too.
Lady Ashbury in the sewers? Now that's a sight I wish I'd seen.
She said she was your friend, and that she sought the identity of your maker. So I answered her questions.
Lady Ashbury? You know her? Tell me what's going on.
The lady approached me but a few nights ago, wanting to meet the sewer skulls. Once she questioned Harriet Jones. She agreed to help us.
Harriet Jones is still with you then? How is she doing?
Harriet remains angry, but is recovering slowly. Her mind is twisted, but at least her body is healing.
Tell me what is going on.
The lady asked us to keep an eye on your mortal doctor friend while you were away. We spotted the hunters. They were discussing plans to attack tonight.
Wait!
I'm listening, but I do not have time to waste, so be quick.
Where is Lady Ashbury right now?
She said she will go home. She needed to speak with some old friends first, though. Do not worry, young Ekon. She is no fool, and just as strong as you.
How did Elizabeth find you?
She presented herself humbly at our gate, and asked if we knew of any ancestral vampires hiding in London. She asked about Ascalon. She asked about many things.
What do you think of her?
Her soul is good, yet tainted with a deep sadness, and the scars of ancient wounds. Time does that to us immortals, for we have so much to dwell upon.
Why did she come to you?
I am old Bridget, the buried memory of the city. She sought the silent truths. Truths I have kept hidden for so long.
Why do I feel like Lord Redgrave was particularly irritated to see you? Far more so than the average Skull, if I may say.
Because I used to know him quite well. And he is afraid I may remember who he really is.
You're Elizabeth's informant. You're the one who told her about Lord Redgrave's lies regarding his lineage.
Yes. But my words were not meant to hurt or threaten. I simply told the story of the sewer skulls, and of so many other forgotten children.
No time to lose, then. I must go there right away.
I shall return to my den. Have you a message for the lady? Should I see her before you?
Yes. Tell her I love her.
Is this still unknown to her? Go now and take care, young Ekon, for the flames are rising.
As long as you have the money.
It's locked.
This is no place for you, sir. Step away, sir. Turn around. This one's mine! Fuck! He's dead!
It's locked, all right.
Bloody monster! It's a leak!